Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. I'm taping this out in the Lanai, which is extremely hot and humid this year in Florida. So I'm going to try to make this short and sweet if I can, just because of the heat. It's been like 90 degrees every single day here in Florida, which is unusual. Usually it's in the 80s and maybe once or twice a week you'll get in the 90s. Sometimes we never really hit in the 90s, only in the 80s, but this has been a bad year for the heat, but so was it when I went to Savannah, Georgia. It was very, very hot. Heat index of 118. I heard that Texas is having a problem with the heat. But anyway, what this video is about is this particular aquarium here. I'm going to redo it. I don't like the sand. The sand's getting all over everything. The fish are bringing it up. The goldfish are bringing it up. I do have some Bowls manii in here. I'm trying to get them to grow. Now, I feed them 4 times a day with an automatic feeder, quite a lot. So they get quite a lot of food 4 times a day. And I noticed by the end of the week, because probably of the amount of food I'm feeding, I'm up to 30 parts per million of nitrates. And it was like 1.1 parts per million of phosphates in this aquarium. But we have to remember, I am feeding them heavy 4 times a day with an automatic feeder. But what I wanted to talk to you about in this aquarium is there are some fish and fish tanks that like to have a lot of water movement. And as we know that if you buy a hang on the back filter, you're pretty well stuck with what you have. No longer do hang on the back filters have an outlet that's directed, that you can direct through the aquarium and move the water exactly where you want it. They're basically all spillover, and they're basically all, as we know, gravity-fed filters. The water is pumped in, and through gravity, it is expelled out of the filter. That's how they make them today. That way, it's easy maintenance of, as far as like a cartridge you may put in, or a sponge filter. But this only goes so far when things are gravity fed, because you're not forcing anything through it, and these clog up faster than other filters only because being gravity fed, they are subject to the gravity, and as they get clogged faster. Well, this was done on purpose, of course, because if you do have one of these cartridges that you put into a hang on the back filter, it will get dirty, and before you know it, it will have maybe a spillover, but it will have a way of telling you that the cartridge is already at its capacity. It's so filthy that you have to replace it, and it may be sooner than later. And I never did care for it when they redesigned the hang on back filters, because of the fact that the cartridges and stuff were expensive, and then they have to leave the filters open enough so water can flow freely, because it's only gravity fed. It's not being pulled through it. So I never cared for the hang on back filters once they modernized it, compared to having the pump actually suck the water through the filter medium, because then you can do anything you want. You can put the kind of filter matting you want. You want it to be a 100 micron, 50 micron. You had the choice. I don't know, some of these filters, I doubt if they're even like a 200 or 300 micron, because it's only a gravity-fed filter. But there is no choice about if you want to, well, improve it as far as gallons per hour. You're pretty well stuck with what they have. There's no way of really improving it. Hang on the back. Everybody knows it. They're convenient. They are less expensive than a canister filter, let's say. But the canister filter gives you more leeway as far as what kind of filter medium you want to put in there. You want to use carbon, you want to use water softener, you want to use deionized pellets that will deionize your water and take your TDS down if you have a lot of solids. You can buy deionizing pellets right off of Amazon, and they can be recharged again in salt water. So it's not like you buy these pellets, they're beads, they're just little beads, and they look like little gel beads, very small, only maybe 2 millimeters in size, and maybe 1 to 2 millimeters in size. You put them in a bag and you can put them, and that will bring your TDS down. And you can buy it off of Amazon. And you can add that into a canister filter without any problems, and it will make sure it will suck the water through it. You can add carbon, you could add phosphate mats because they're a tighter matrix than what you can put in a hang on the back filter. You can also add some of the carbon mats, which are a tighter matrix than what you can put in a hang on the back filter, because these mats are a tighter matrix, and therefore, being a gravity filter, they would just clog up too fast. And any salt water or anybody with a sump who has, let's say, those socks, they know how often those socks wind up getting clogged up because a lot of the socks are 100 micron or 50 micron, and they clog very quickly, and it becomes a big hassle to the hobbyist constantly changing it. Where a canister filter, you really don't have to change as often. I change my canister filter about every 4 months, and that's even on my goldfish tank here. About every 4 months. I write down the date on top. But one advantage, now I have shown this, and I did want to bring this up because hobbies always complain. They buy these filters, the Fluval 4, the 6, the F-Zone, and one thing about these canister filters is the pumps they put on them. Like, for example, the F-Zone, I think, is rated at 800 gallons per hour. I think some of the Fluval filters are rated at 900 gallons an hour, but there's no way they're pumping that. By the time you get all the medium in there, and with the Eheim filters and everything, it's not pumping anything near of what the manufacturer claims it can pump. And therefore, the hobbyist is left with a dilemma, but it's a dilemma that can be easily solved. If you watch my other videos, you will see how I piggyback a pump onto the pump that originally came with the filter. Now, by doing that, you're able to increase the flow because the first pump is going to be pumping. And let's say, I'm just giving this as an example, okay, off the top of my head. Let's say that's a 375 gallon hour pump, and you put it on your aquarium and find out it's only pumping 125 gallons an hour. You can piggyback a pump onto that pump with quick disconnects and then have that go to your aquarium. Because the first pump is going to take a lot of the resistance, the second pump is going to help that. So it will ease up that resistance and it will help expel it to your aquarium. So if you have a 375 gallon hour pump, you would go out and buy, let's say, a 500 gallon an hour pump, something bigger than what's originally on there. And that pump would just take over. If you have, let's say, a Fluval, says 900 gallons an hour, you would add a 1,500 gallon an hour pump onto that, piggybacking it, as I've shown, and it will then run your 900 gallons an hour because it will take all that resistance from the first pump off, and it will help it so it doesn't see that resistance. That's the great thing about canister filters, is that you can expand them or you can add them onto other aquariums without having to buy a whole new filter. And that's what I want to show you with this particular one. I decided that it had the original F-Zone pump, no problems with it. It's been running for over 2 years straight, and there's been zero problems with it. But I felt it just didn't pump enough. So I decided to take the Awaki pump that was on the 90 gallon and put it onto this aquarium. The Awaki pump only pumps 475 gallons an hour, a lot less than what the F-zone pump claims it can do of 800 gallons an hour. But the Milwaukee pump has a higher head pressure of over 15 feet, which means it has a lot of torque, okay, behind it. So that impeller, if you take it apart and the magnet structure and everything and the way it's been made, just has a lot of torque. Even though the hole openings are no bigger than, they're less than, well, I'm going to say they're maybe 400 diameter, the IDs are of the hole openings. It's really quite small compared to what you see other pumps will have for 5/8 tubing. That this, even though it takes 5/8 tubing, the ID is very small, maybe only 400 thousandths in diameter. So that that right there makes you think, well, how is this able to pump so many gallons per hour, yet they have smaller ID outlets than some of these other pumps that are using 5/8, and the ID is almost 5/8 in diameter, almost. It's a little smaller. So, but because it has torque behind it. So I decided to put the Milwaukee on here, take the other one off, because I had another pump, and I added that onto the 90-gallon Aquarium to piggyback it. Okay, and that is a black pump, and all it's doing is taking the pump that's coming from the F zone, it's piggybacking it. That pump's supposed to pump, I think, 1,600 gallons an hour. Okay, so it's faster than the one there, and you can definitely see a difference. That when you use the original F-zone pump for that 90-gallon, yeah, it's good. It's good, but it's not great. When you piggyback it, and I put that stronger pump on using the 5/8 tubing, I haven't changed the tubing any, and just piggyback it and run both pumps, you can definitely see it increases, it doubles its output easily. So whatever it's putting out, you can tell it doubles it. So on the pump here, I decided, well, I'm going to replace it with the Milwaukee pump, because actually in this tank, the Bozemanii and the goldfish do like current. And there's a lot of fish that like current that we think don't, like hillstream loaches. They like current. A lot of your fish, your geophagus fish, they do like current. Goldfish like current. Koi like current. Some people will think, well, goldfish, they're fat, they're this, but they do like current. It keeps them moving. When there is no current, the goldfish get sluggish. You will see them laying at the bottom a lot. It's not giving them their exercise that they need. And plus the fact, without movement, it doesn't help their digestive tract if goldfish become just sluggish. But if they're constantly moving, they're burning off that energy, or burning up energy that has to burn off that food that they just ate. And that's what you want to do. You want them to burn off the food that you just fed them and not get all sluggish. So current is something that goldfish don't mind, even your fancier ones. You may want to watch it with maybe bubble eyes. Now, that's a little different, okay, because the bubble eyes with the big sacks of bubble can get popped, and that you may have to watch, where current is maybe not something you would advocate, okay? So what I wanted to show you is I put the pump on here, and for people who are saying, yeah, I'd like to do that, but there's only a problem. If I'm going to expel that much water from the canister filter, it's going to be pretty strong, maybe too strong. So how can I fix that problem? Well, I've been fixing that problem for 50 years or more, and it's very easy to fix the problem. Now, some people, they sell you tubing with a lot of these so it can squirt out. You could use that, but that's going to hold back a lot of your output. That's going to make resistance, too much resistance, and it's going to have to squirt out of the openings. I never liked that because of that, too much resistance. So what I've done, like this, I'm going to show you exactly what I did, and you're going to see, wow, what a a lot amount of water's coming out of there, and how to take it and make the water so it's not as strong. Okay, so here's the outlet right here, and if I run it, let me show you. Look at that. Now that is with the F-zone filter. Now this is pushing out, as you can see, quite a lot of water. I mean, look at that. That's almost looks like you're running a garden hose. Well, people would say, wow, that's nice, and I'd like to turn over my tank like that, but how can I diffuse it? Well, one way of diffusing it is you get a strainer cap like this, or like Eheim has, where the strainer cap itself, okay, can be removed off of like Eheim, and you place that over the front of it. Now, you see how the water becomes wider. This is going to lessen the amount of water that's making it current, because now it's wider. The wider this becomes, you can also buy lily pipes and stuff like that that will lessen the amount. Or you can make something like this and put the strainer on it, and you could do it that way. You see? So I'm still running 475 gallons an hour, but as you can see, it's not making the current. So either way, I've done all those different ways of taking something and putting a stronger pump on and actually diffusing the outlet so I don't have to use one of those spray bars. And let me show you the F-zone filter of the new pump that's on there. But like I said, this is definitely, see, it's still there. So the fish are getting a nice current. And this is how I attach it. These attachments here, by the way, if you're looking at these attachments, see this is all bought off of Amazon, this attachment. And you can buy the outlet, inlet and outlet, plus the attachment, and they just hook up to the aquarium. You point it where you want, and it's hand tightened. There's 2 screws, and that's it. And that's how I connect up my hoses. There's another little trick I'm going to show you too that you may be interested, especially for those of you who have Eheim. Okay, what you're looking at here is actually Eheim. This is actually Eheim, and as we all know, Eheim comes in green. All I do is get some of that fusion paint that's made for plastic. You just have to make sure that that everything's nice and dry, and you just spray it black with like flat black or whatever. And now you have a black inlet instead of that green Eheim inlet. So that's a little trick I do to camouflage the Eheim. You could even spray the piping of the Eheim if you want to black. Nobody says you have to keep it green. Okay, here's the filter here. It has the Awaki pump that pumps 475 gallons an hour. You can see the date I changed it. That's been 4 months since I changed it. I date it right on top of the thing with an ink pen. But as you can see how the Awaki pump fits absolutely perfect. This canister filter. This is the F-zone. Now a lot of people say, well, the F-zone's kind of expensive and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But it really isn't. If you look at the whole realm of everything and you look at the prices of these filters, yeah, you can buy a small filter for $100 or less. But as you start getting into your bigger filters, then you run into a problem. And that problem is cost. So any larger filter out there, no matter whether it's a Fluval, Oasis, or any one of them, you're talking $300+. Well, that's about right where the price range is for a F-zone. Okay, and like I said, I've been using this for 2 years. Not a damn thing has went wrong with it. The O-ring, the clips, 0 problems. Absolutely not. Well, of course, it's all stainless steel. Not even any rust or anything. So I I really enjoy the filter because I feel like I got my money's worth. And the quick connect valves here that they give you, I haven't had any problems with these quick connect compared to my Eheim. Okay, and these have been used for over 2 years now, and no leaks, no nothing. Unlike the Eheims, I do have sometimes problems with the Eheim. The quick disconnect valves that they're giving you, let me show you that. They come in black, but they, no problems, 0 problems in 2 years of using them. So I thought I would show you that there are ways that you can improve your pumps, your pump output, your canister filter. Like I said, this gets changed about every 4 months. And this is quite a dirty tank because of the goldfish and because of how much I'm feeding. And it's an automatic feeder, so I don't have to worry about it. Just something to think about. So that's it for this video. I just thought I would show you and help you that there are different ways of doing things and more versatility, and depending on the filter you want to invest your money into. Sometimes spending a little more, you get a little more with canister filters. You can add different pumps onto them, and this is good if you progress in the hobby and you start out with a small tank, and let's say one day you progress to a bigger tank like a 75 gallon or a 90 gallon or a 120 gallon, 125, 180 gallon. You know, you don't have to keep buying new filters. You just buy a pump and add it onto your filter, because the filter doesn't care. And like the BCB basket that's in the filter, it doesn't care how fast the water's flowing through it. It doesn't care. The faster, the better anyhow. So that's it for this filter. I hope you, for this video, that's it for this filter. Okay, that's it for this video. I just wanted to be upfront with you. After about a week, I tested it. It is 30 parts per million of nitrates, but I believe it could stay lower if I didn't have the sand. That's just me. That's what I think. It's to me, it's a little high, but then I am feeding quite a lot. I do feed quite a lot of food. So food is your enemy. It's always going to be your enemy when it comes to phosphates and nitrates. The more food you add, the higher your nitrates and phosphates are going to be in an aquarium. That's just the way it is. That's why you see people have aquariums and they barely have any fish in the aquarium, and they barely feed them. They may even only feed them every 2 days. Okay, I'm trying to get these to grow, so I'm feeding them heavy. But like I said, the water change, I utilize that water, so it's not going to waste down a drain. It's actually being utilized for plants out in my lanai. So, oh yeah, there was one thing I'll bring up before I end this. Lanai. Lanai is just a fancy word for a screen and porch. Yeah, that's it. A lanai is a fancy word for a screen and porch. Down here in Florida, it's called a lanai. Up north, it'd be called a screened-in porch. That's what it is. Anyhow, until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope this video has kind of helped you if you're on the fence of what you want to buy and how you can improve a filtration system in your aquarium if you use one, especially if you've got fish like I have. You know, like I said, I'm trying to get the geophagus bigger, and the only way you're going to get them bigger faster is by feeding them. And same way with goldfish. The only way you're going to get your goldfish bigger, fatter, and everything is you got to feed them. Okay, yeah, you can have nice goldfish if you feed them once a day, but they're basically not going to do any growing unless you start feeding them at least 4, 5, 6 times a day, and that means more water pollution problems. So until next time, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Happy fish keeping.